Hey everyone, it's Sevi, and Jing Yuan from Honkai Star Rail finally has his character and light cone banners released, and just as I do with Genshin Impact banners, I'm going to be giving my quick thoughts and review of the overall pull value of the banners. And that means talking about the characters in them. Now, quick disclaimer, a lot of the info we know about Jing Yuan is based on the beta, which means that there might be some changes between beta and now, so watch out for those. But overall, we already have a pretty good idea of what Jing Yuan does and what his kit is like. So without further ado, let's go straight into it. So before we get into the 4 stars and the rest of the banner, let's talk first about Jing Yuan. Now, he is a gorgeous looking character. Ever since I saw him in the beta and he got introduced in the story, I was like, wow! Man is pretty. Look at that voice. Cloud Knight General is not playing around. He has a lot of Riz and he has a stellar looking kit to go with it. So for his playstyle, Jing Yuan is an erudition character, which means he's primarily geared towards AoE damage and AoE lightning damage in particular. But from what we know, he is still going to be pretty good in single target damage. Now his playstyle revolves around him summoning Lightning Lord, which is pretty much another entity that is in the battle and takes its own turns and does its own attacks. So getting Jing Yuan is like a 2-in-1 package because you're getting the general and then you're getting his Lightning Lord. Along with the Lightning Lord is the stacking mechanic, which Jing Yuan fills up by using his abilities, and the more stacks the Lightning Lord has, the faster it gets and the stronger its attacks are. So Jing Yuan is really just designed for one job, and that is to do a lot of raw lightning damage. And in that sense, you can think of him as a little one-dimensional, I guess, but for what he is meant to do, he does it very, very well. The Lightning Lord's attacks are also counted as follow-up attacks, FYI, and I can just imagine the crazy runs that we're going to see in Simulated Universe when we use the Elation buffs. So 5-star aside, we can now look at the 4 stars, which are Sushang, March 7th, and Tingyun. And starting with Sushang, who is a physical hunt unit, she is incredible at outputting damage thanks to her sword stance mechanic, which can proc multiple damage instances on a single target. Her ultimate is also crazy. It's like this giant chicken body slam. It was like the most unexpected burst animation in Star Rail for me, and it also advances her turn immediately. So you can do 3 attacks in a row with her with a ultimate skill combo, which is nuts. She also loves taking advantage of weakness break mechanics and is in fact a good breaker herself. So if you're lucky enough to get her Eidolons, her E1 is amazing because if the enemy is broken, then her skill refunds 1 skill point, which in practice is huge for skill point economy. And for me, it is a noticeable improvement in point management for the entire team. Like at the start, I was kind of surprised when I had skill points, when I assumed that I had fewer, but eventually I just got used to having those extra skill points, and that's the wonder of her E1. And any subsequent Eidolons are great, of course, but considering that E1 is a huge quality of life improvement, it makes Sushang a better pull. It makes it even better that she is on Jing Yuan's banner. And then we have March 7th, and of course everyone gets a copy of her for free. She is an awesome shielder with offensive and crowd control capabilities because of her counterattacks and her ultimate's freeze chance, and even if you do have Fire MC, who you will eventually max Eidolons out on, March can situationally be better depending on the team and the content. In fact, she's the first character that I made a full guide for, which you can check out below if you haven't seen it yet for more details. But in it, I pretty much said that all of March Eidolons are pretty valuable, and the most interesting one for me is her E6, which gives her shield a small healing utility at the start of each turn. It's not going to make her a dedicated healer, it's not going to turn her into an abundance character, but it is still healing for a preservation character, which is interesting role consolidation and just makes her into more of the best girl. And finally, on this 4-star banner, the huge cherry on top is Tingyun. And you have probably read or heard about just how good Tingyun is as a buffer. And it's no exaggeration because Tingyun is just an incredible support, easily one of the best units in the game. She buffs attack, adds a lightning damage instance when the buffed ally attacks, and also gives a damage bonus via her ultimate. She also recharges her teammates' energy like a battery, which is great for energy management. So when it comes to her Eidolons, her first 2 make her buff even better, since since her E1 makes her skill buff give a speed bonus when the buffed ally uses their ultimate, while the E2 generates 5 energy once per turn if they defeat an enemy. So it's nice that we have these other utilities in her early Eidolons, and if you get her E6, then her ult refunds even more energy. So all in all, I think this is an incredible character banner. It has really good DPS, you can improve your free-to-play shielder, and it features one of the best supports in the game. I am really happy that these are the featured 4 stars on Jing Yuan's banner. Whoever is pulling on this banner is eating. It is amazing food, and good luck on pulling on this banner. Then we have the Light Cone banner, and the 5-star featured one is of course Jing Yuan's signature Light Cone, and it is perfectly tailored for him. It gives an unconditional crit damage and also increases the skill and ultimate damage, but it also has this effect where if you cast a skill or ultimate, you get this Somnus Corpus effect, and when the user does a follow-up attack, the effect gets consumed to increase the follow-up attack's damage. Clearly for a Lightning Lord for Jing Yuan. So you are meant to be using either his skill or ultimate every turn anyway, and since the effect doesn't seem to have a cooldown, I can basically see this just being on for the most part. It should also be top tier for Himiko, who also has a follow-up playstyle, and if for some reason you want to go crazy on Herta, then why not, right? The 4-star light cones are somewhat unexpected for me, mainly because the Hunt and Harmony light cones essentially don't match the 4 stars on the character banner. Looking at the Hunt light cone, I kind of expected to see Sushang's signature light cone swordplay, and it's one of the best Hunt light cones that anyone could ask for. Actually, it would be at the top of my list. So if it were there, it would have been really good value for the banner, but instead we got only Silence Remains, which features Dan Heng on the art. And I just found that a little bit weird, like why doesn't the light cone match the character banner? But anyway, I guess this is how it'll go. Don't get me wrong though, this is still a pretty solid light cone. It gives an unconditional attack bonus, but more importantly, it gives a crit damage bonus if there are only 2 or fewer enemies in the battle, which helps you round out your crit stats into a more balanced ratio when building the character. So its biggest caveat is just that its damage potential might be inconsistent depending on the battle. I mean, some bosses and elites do summon lackeys or buddies or whatever, and it's usually 2 extra members at a time, which disables the effect until you get rid of them. So its full potential only really comes out when most of the enemy mob has been cut down or when only the boss remains. Moving on to the Preservation Light Cone, and this is what I expected because it matches March 7th on the banner. It is her signature light cone, and it's generally one of the best Preservation Light Cones thanks to its strong defensive effects. It gives more defense to the user, but more importantly gives the entire team a damage reduction bonus. So this is March's best in slot 4-star light cone, and for me, it's actually still better than the Battle Pass light cone for her. And it's also great on other preservation units like Japard and Fire MC, and is one of their highly recommended options as well. So all in all, it does what you expect a preservation light cone to do, which is to protect the team as much as possible. And finally, for the Harmony light cone, we have Planetary Rendezvous, which actually showcases Asta, but also surprised me that it was a featured light cone on the banner. Then again, Tingyun doesn't have her own personalized light cone that can be gotcha'd. Hers is on the battle pass, but I was kind of expecting to see Dance 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 to be featured on the banner alongside Tingyun, and that would have been one of the best Harmony light cones to ask for, especially for Tingyun because of its advanced forward effect. However, the Planetary Rendezvous, again, it's not bad either, and what it does is it increases the damage for everyone on the team whose element matches the users. So for example, if you put this on Asta, it's a damage bonus for fire units. If you put it on Tingyun, it's a damage bonus for lightning units. So you get the idea. The way I can imagine this going is you put the light cone on Tingyun if you get copies of her while pulling on Jing Yuan's banner, and then if you put Tingyun and Jing Yuan on the same team, then Tingyun will be able to boost lightning damage for Jing Yuan through the light cone. So yeah, it's also a pretty good light cone if you have a team that has other party members of the same element as the user. But it's not as universal as Dance Dance Dance, and seeing that on the banner instead would have added more value for me. So overall, the character banner feels perfect. The 4 stars are all characters I personally would want to have or get copies of, and I would also recommend others to build them anyway. So if you were fully committed to pulling for Jing Yuan already, then this is one of the best banners you could probably ask for. As for the light cone banner, it's okay. It could have been better, to be honest. But I will say the same thing I say about Genshin's weapon banner, which is that if you are free to play or low spender, it shouldn't be a priority. It is a bit better than Genshin because unlike Genshin's weapon banner, here, there isn't a second 5-star light cone to lose to, so the potential maximum wishes you need to guarantee the 5-star featured light cone is lower. However, you can still get light cones on character banners anyway, or in the standard banner, and if you plan to buy the battle pass, then you can get a light cone every patch. There are also plenty of other ways in the game to get 4-star and 5-star light cones like Echoes of War, free rewards, in-game shops, and more. It's just a shame that there's no 5-star erudition light cone in Herta's shop, as that could have been a default free-to-play option already. Maybe that will be added sometime in the future though, we will have to see. If your main concern is getting a light cone for Jing Yuan, by default you already have a free-to-play and solid light cone, the Seriousness of Breakfast. It gives damage bonus and attack buffs, and it's refinable from the Forgotten Hall shop. You might get lucky and pull one of the gacha 4-stars anyway, like the Birth of Self, which buffs follow-up attacks, or Genius's Repose, which buffs attack and crit. I don't really plan to pull for 5-star weapons since my priority really are the characters, and I find that 4-star options are already very satisfactory for me. For myself though, I will be getting the Battle Pass Erudition Light Cone for my Jing Yuan. The base stats are fairly high and it gives a general damage bonus based on the wearer's ultimate energy cost, and if Jing Yuan's 130 energy cost is still the same, then that is a 26% damage bonus at Superimposition 1, which is pretty good. Anyway, that's going to be all for this banner review. Let me know in the comments if you're going to be pulling on this banner, what you are hoping to get, aside from Jing Yuan himself, of course. Anyway, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, consider subscribing to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you all soon. Take care!